Welcome to the Blueprint Athletes Basketball Podcast. I am John Horford here with, I'm just going to call him my co-host now because, it's been, I don't know, I think we're on episode 7, and all except for the first one, you've been the guest. So you're just my co-host now. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, I appreciate the promotion, bro.
Yep, no problem. Comes with a $0, 0 cents raise.
Yeah.
But all the food you can eat.
Yeah. I'm all in.
All right, nice. Okay. So today we want to talk about how to become a more confident basketball player, right? Because it's something that we all deal with, and that players, even on the highest level, even the best players in the world, right, deal with confidence issues and insecurities and doubts and all that type of stuff. So I want to start off with a quote, and it's not going to be verbatim. It could be. I could just look it up real quick. One of my old teammates, Armani Cotton, played at Yale. I didn't play at Yale, but we played together at one point. And he posted something on Facebook, and it said, his direct quote that he posted was, "If you feel validated when your coach tells you you're a great player, you're vulnerable when one tells you that you suck." And I wrote down what I had remembered from that and just said, don't be overly moved by positive or negative feedback. If a coach can validate you with, a great job, or, you're doing so well, and they can destroy you when they tell you, you're terrible, you're worthless, so I think that's a really important point to touch upon, talk about, because a lot of players live for that validation from their coaches and get upset when they're not constantly, being told great job, or when they are being told great job, it gives them such a high, they get so high off it that when they're told that they're doing something wrong, or, that they messed up, or they get scolded, it just throws them completely out of whack. So it's like everything, finding that balance of not getting too high, not getting too low, right? Don't take the positive feedback to heart too much. Don't take the negative feedback to heart too much. And just continually trying to find ways to better yourself. Would you say that I think everyone has, but would you say that you've experienced that in your own, personal life with your game and with your coaches and anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. But I had a coach tell me, when I'm not saying stuff to you, when I'm not talking to you, that's when you should be worried.
Yeah, exactly, because they don't care anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've heard coaches say that too.
Yeah.
They're be worried for the day where I just you're at practice and I don't say anything to you for 3 days.
Right.
Because I don't care anymore.
Right.
And I agree with that to an extent. And I try to make sure, that's why, with our training groups, I like to keep them relatively small so we can make sure that we interact with every kid and, try to put in time, with every kid so they all know that they're valued, and we really do care about all of them, not just the ones that are really good.
Right.
We literally care about, the worst one and the best one, and I think that's just this isn't necessarily on script, but I think that's an important thing to touch upon. I think where a lot of college coaches mess up, and some people have college coaches where it's or even high school coaches where it's you can go back to that person and they're a part of your family, and they tell you when they're recruiting you or bringing you in or you make the team, you're part of my family now, I love you like a son, blah, 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 or a daughter, if you're a woman. But I haven't had coaches that I've necessarily, the only coach I've had on the college or pro level that I felt that way with was the one that, I went at him the most because we had just that kind of relationship and I've talked about him in another episode, but just Ryan Kruger. He's the only one that I felt, really, really actually cared. Billy Donovan, I don't think he cared at all about anything. Coach Beeline means well, but I wouldn't necessarily say that he cares. These are people that if I don't reach out to them, I probably wouldn't talk to them if I don't run into them, which I have run into them. I wouldn't talk to them for years, you know?
Yeah.
And I know this is a little bit different subject than, you know, the confidence piece, but it's just interesting how, you know, coaches' words, and you can even take them to heart, that like, oh, you know, like, you know, I believe in you. Like, you got to come here for this reason, that reason, blah, blah. And then at the end of the day, like when it's all said and done, when they can't get any use out of you, it's kind of like, like, see ya.
Yeah, it's pretty unfair.
It's not unfair. It's just reality, you know, and it's something that I try not to do. Like, I try to stay in touch with, at least check on, you know, all the kids that we've worked with, like a Malik or a Sam or a Luke, or kids that we don't really have like daily interactions or weekly or even monthly, like face-to-face interactions with anymore, and just, you know, checking in on them, seeing how they're doing, how everything's going, if they need anything, like, because I want them to feel like I genuinely care about them. And I feel like that, you know, ties into the confidence that a player has in themselves. I know I just went off on like an interesting tangent that's not 100% like relevant to what we're talking about, but let's slide back over to the script again. And all right, say it's a script. It's literally like bullets of what we're going to talk about. So the next one that I had was, you know, we're talking about how to become a more confident basketball player. And it's amazing because even when you get to a point where you are, and this isn't a knock on this person at all, because I think that it's a common misconception that once you get to a level of success that, you know, you're good, that you're not vulnerable, that you don't have insecurities, that you don't have worries, that you don't doubt yourself. So I was going to talk about like the Kevin Durant Twitter thing, where he had his spam account, his fake account, and he's going at this kid defending himself, then accidentally responds from his actual account, right? This is Kevin Durant, one of the greatest basketball players to ever live. And he's talking to some kid from middle of nowhere, Iowa, defending himself. Mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, the dude is just human. And he doesn't want to be criticized, and he's doing his best, and he's trying to live his best life, and he is not immune to, you know, he's not immune to feeling attacked and vulnerable, and obviously not above reacting, you know, to these jabs that every player is going to go through. So it's just like, it's amazing if one of the greatest basketball players of all time, one of the greatest scorers ever, you know, NBA MVP, multiple, like, he has like, what, 2 championships, maybe an Olympic gold too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if he's going through it, what player wouldn't go through it? Like, everyone experiences it on some level at some time in one way or another, right? And I think that it's something that we should talk about, we should address. We should work on changing the culture in a sense. And, you know, I'm even guilty about it. I'm even guilty of it, you know, myself sometimes, like on the Instagram page, right? Like I'll post something and it'll get a lot of engagement, right? There'll be, you know, thousands of people saving it, but there will be 2 or 3 people like talking shit about, oh, that would never work, blah, 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 like all that. And I still, instead of just being like, it's really not a big deal, like it's a couple people, like in a sea of people.
Right.
And I still always feel the need to say something to them. I mean, pretty much now I just like explain why they're wrong. Yeah. And then if they don't shut up, I just send them the address to the gym and say, dude, come through anytime.
All right.
Come through anytime. Right. But, and I feel like that's a decent way to handle it. But in reality, I should just freaking ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just human nature to defend yourself.
I guess, but it's just not always necessary. Like,
yeah, it's not worth your time at all.
It's not always, but that's the other thing. Like, I like to educate these kids, and like, even on one of the posts, the last post. So these are all going to be like, these are going to come out later than when they're going to come out later than when they're posted now, or they're not going to be posted now. Sorry, they're going to be.
Good.
They're going to be posted later. But last night when I posted the part 2 of the whatever, something that every player should like know how to do. Like one of the kids from the first post commented, he's like, okay, I see what you're talking about now. He's like, sorry about that. And I was just like,
Good for him.
I know, good for him. But at the same time, it's like, I feel weird for even feeling the need to address it, right? Even though what we're doing is like educational in a sense, right? So to get back to more of, you know, how to become a more confident basketball player, I think one of the main keys that players need to focus in on and that they mess up in is that they're not trying to, one, they might not know their role. Like, first, do you know your role on your team? Did your coach assign your role? Like, this is your main role. Like, this is what we need you to do to function at a high level. Like, we need you to be a lockdown defender that just runs plays and sets screens and shoots an occasional layup when you're open. Or we need you to, every time someone is, you know, if they can't touch you, you need to shoot it. You need to get that 3 off. Or we need you to take 15 to 20 shots a night. Like, what is your role on a team? And are you being a star in your role on the team, right? Something that kids like to say to me a lot is like, oh, well, what if this isn't the role that I always want? And, you know, I want more, you know, I want to get better. It's like, okay, that's something that you address in the off season, right? Be a star in your role currently while working to develop the skills, right? And the trust of your coaches and teammates to eventually take on that bigger role that you aspire to, right? And that's kind of the way that it has to be. Because if it's not, you get chaos. And you see it on so many teams. Because I'm trying to do this, I want to be the star, I want to be the star, I want to be the star. And it's like, one of the things that will truly bring you confidence in your game is knowing what your role is and doing that role to the best of your ability. Because you're not going into the game with all these doubts, unknowns, like, oh, well, I got to do this or this. It's like, dude, you know exactly what you have to do. You know exactly what you have to do, right? You have to go into the game, run the floor hard, defend, rebound, and that's your role, let's say, right? So that's what you focus on. That's what you do to the best of your ability, right? And you have a good attitude about it. And if you want a bigger role, you work towards that gradually. But it's amazing how much myself personally, right? Because I used to go into games not really thinking too much. I had such bad anxiety, like in high school and even in college, that I wouldn't necessarily focus on my role. And I would just see the game as a whole, and I would just go in there and just kind of like, whatever happens, happens kind of thing. And then when I started playing pro, I started thinking more like, I really have to buy into my role. Not that I didn't so much at the other places, because I really wasn't one to like force shots or anything like that. But I didn't focus in, and I didn't have that sense of peace because I wasn't focusing on my role. So when I got to the pros, I was just thinking like, okay, what's my role? What do I have to do? That's exactly what I'm going to go in and do. Right. If I'm open from anywhere, I'll shoot the shot, right? Set screens, defend, get rebounds, right? That's my role. That's what I'm focusing on. That's what I'm going to do the best of my ability. And then, you know, do my best to be a leader and, you know, just like run the offense and keep everyone like focused on what we're doing. And I just focused on that and just do your role to the best of your ability. Do your role to the best of your ability, right?
The opportunity could come, man.
And it can come, right? And a lot of times it does, right? It does. Another thing, right, and we'll probably get back to I want to talk a little bit more about the roles, but the next thing that I have on here is, you know, just being brutally honest with yourself. Because something that affects a lot of kids' confidence is they trick themselves into thinking, they tell themselves with the limited amount of work and structure that they put into their game, they tell themselves that, oh, you know, I'm fantastic. Like, I'm so good. I put in so much time. Like, I literally had a kid the other day. He was actually from Iran, and he sent me a video. He's like, yeah, I've been working out, and he was dead serious. He was like, I've been working out 6 days a week, 3 hours a day for a while. He's like, and I wanted you to see some of my moves. And it was just horrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like, you're being serious? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I got a trainer, and he's like, we don't have the best trainers here in my country, but he's like, what do you think? And it was just him trying to be like super gimmicky and like cool and
Right.
spins and scoops. And he's like, oh, I want to master jelly. And I was like, oh, well, jelly's completely pointless. Not completely pointless once you get to a certain level, but it's not necessary at all.
Yeah.
Right? Having good touch is necessary. Being able to spin the ball from a distance on the backboard and have it go into the rim in a cool way is not necessary, though.
Yeah, the leg kicking and all that.
It's so extra. So I'm just like, the kid obviously wasn't being honest with himself.
Mm-hmm.
Or if he was, in the gym for that amount of time, he wasn't doing what he said he was doing, right? Because he said he was working on his game. You can just tell. No, you weren't, right? But that's so common with kids. So many kids think that they work on their game so much more than they do. So another confidence thing is just being honest with yourself. Because if you're not putting in the time, but you're telling yourself that you are and that you should be great, it's going to mess with your head. Because you're not going to get as good as you should be. And it's going to bother you. And you're going to be like, what am I doing wrong? Or this doesn't work. And it's like, it's not that it doesn't work. It's that you're not actually doing the work and you haven't actually put in the necessary amount of time, which actually varies from player to player. Some people just pick things up faster, right, than other people, or more coordinated or stronger or taller or fast, whatever the reason is, right? But it takes time to develop like foundational skill that translates to, multiple aspects of a game and allows you to pick up other skills faster. Like, it just takes time, and most kids aren't willing to put in that amount of time, and they allow the delusion, like we even have kids, there are a couple kids on the Grand Ledge team. I had to check super hard, and two of them are like considered like my kids, and I do, and I love those kids. I told them both of them, so they're not playing that much. And I told them, like, dude, you, the one kid, the guard, I'm not going to give names just because
They're kids.
They're kids, even though we've said names before in the past, but whatever. I was like, dude, you put in like 1 day a week this summer. Like, you'd show up 1 day a week. And even then you were like joking around, goofing around, messing around.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you expect? Like, you're upset? Like, coach isn't playing me. He's not giving me the respect that I deserve. Dude, you haven't earned anything. You've barely put in any time. Your skill level has improved tremendously.
Yeah.
So he was one of the kids as a freshman. The coaches were like, this kid will never make a team here. His skill level has improved a ton. And I think that he's good enough to play on that team. The coach, makes the decisions he makes for whatever reason he makes them. It's not really my business.
Right.
And then the other kid did not put in that much time this summer.
Nope.
Went to a bunch of those, exposure camps or whatever they're gimmicks, they're money grabs.
Dude, they're
I
terrible.
hate them. And if you have a problem with, like, dude, come talk to me. Like, I want all the smoke. I want all the smoke. For the most part, I would say not all of them, right? I would say 9 out of 10, though. 9 out of 10 are gimmicks. 9 out of 10 are just not worth it. Not worth the money. Kids are paying $500 to go to each of these to just scrimmage, like, in front of these guys. And that's what he told me, like, a lot of them were.
Yeah.
And we've had other kids that have gone and done them too, right? But he went and did that, didn't put in that much time training, truly didn't put in that much time training this summer, maybe 2 days a week, if that, and then decided to play football his senior year for the first time in his life, and then didn't train for a few months on basketball going into the season, and then is shocked, and he has all the potential in the world, like 6'3", strong,
Smart.
can shoot it, super smart.
Yeah.
But if you don't put in the time, right, you can't be delusional about, oh, what I did this and this and this. And it's like, but dude, you weren't consistently working on you're doing a bunch of other type of things that just obviously weren't benefiting you, and you weren't growing in the ways that you need to grow. Because his biggest area of growth, even though he's so smart, is, his confidence level and his belief in himself. And we all struggle with that, as we've already talked about at the beginning of this episode.
Right.
But you just have to be honest with yourself and put yourself in the best position to be successful, especially when you have people around you that are trying to, help you to reach your potential and be the best version of yourself you can be, right? And not that, I've had this argument with other trainers and stuff, not that other trainers don't, and other trainers do have kids' best interests at heart, but it's different. We're in a fortunate position because we don't charge the kids that we train, right? The kids that we train in our hometown, we don't charge, or in the area.
Right.
Like, we don't charge. So it's not like we're saying what we say to get more money out of you. It's not like we're getting, and we're training you because we want to help you to reach your potential, like mentoring you because we want to help you to reach your potential. Like, it has nothing to do with money, right? We don't get, there is a certain like level of satisfaction you get from helping people, right? But it's not like money based, like, oh, I need to get more money, so I need to find a way to keep them on the hook. It's like, dude, I literally just want what's best for you,
Right.
type thing. So like, we're in a fortunate position to be able to do that. And I guess sometimes it's just like sad when like kids don't believe, but we've talked about that on past episodes, like, and even, I love you to death, you're my little brother, but even you didn't believe me when I was telling you that stuff in high school sometimes.
Yeah, but I didn't have the access to you like these kids do.
They do have a little bit more, but
You were away at college.
I mean, I did do school year round, but I still came back a decent amount.
Hey.
So let's go to the next part. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was, setting goals that make you happy as a player, right? Because a lot of people they're dealing with confidence issues because, one, they're not doing something that they love. They feel like they're forced to play sports. Like, I've literally had kids that I've trained like break down and cry when I ask them, like, do you even want to be playing basketball? Like, you don't act like it. And they just break down and cry and like, I don't want to play basketball, but my mom's making me play basketball, or my dad's making me. And it's just like super sad.
Yeah.
And I literally will talk to the parents every time a kid comes to me like that. Tell them straight up, like, your kid doesn't want to play. Let them do something else, because they're not happy. So you're wondering why they're struggling, why they're not doing that well, maybe why they have a bad attitude. It's because this is like the last place in the world they want to be, and they've probably tried to tell you, and you blew them off, and they're too scared to bring it up again.
Yeah, but sometimes parents know what's best for the kids, dude.
It's a tough balance
Very tough.
because sports do provide a level of structure, and it helps you to build up a lot of life skills and helps you to develop positive attributes. And kids do end up like our sister, who was like a big time, like the best athlete in our family. Maria is. Just naturally. Didn't lift, didn't really work out that much, but was just a beast. And she didn't want to play in high school after her sophomore year, freshman year or something. And then she says, that she regrets it.
All right.
So I mean, it's a tough balance. But when a kid literally says, and she told me that, and I told mom that. So she was like, I don't want to play. And I was on mom and dad, like, she's not playing. She doesn't want to play. So, and then she was like, oh, I regret it. And it's like,
right.
You win some, you lose some. But
yeah. But what's the worst that could happen if you make your kid play?
I guess, they just do something that they don't like. And they're just, not happy. That's pretty much the worst that could happen. And I guess they could get injured playing the sport.
All right.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about when it comes to confidence is controlling what you can control and changing the way you look at good and bad games. So a lot of kids, coaches, parents, etc., will only look at good and bad games based on statistics, when I believe that good and bad games are literally all based on three things. Preparation. Like, did you prepare for the game? Did you get ready? Did you know the scouting report? Did you prepare for your role? Whatever that may be. Right? So there's preparation, and then there's effort. When you were in the game, did you run the floor hard? Right? Did you run the offense well? Did you take good open shots? Right? Good bad shot. Right? Even if you're wide open for a shot that you hit consistently in practice, it's a good shot. Make or miss. Good shot.
Yeah.
Right? So you could take 10 good shots and miss every single one. And if I was a coach, I would tell you, you did your job, right? You did a good job.
All right.
You did what you're supposed to do. The shots are going to fall. You hit those all the time in practice, right? You were barely contested or uncontested. That's a good shot,
right?
Even if you miss it, right? And then the last thing is just attitude, right? I get that you're going to have flare-ups. Kids are always going to have flare-ups, and things aren't always going to go your way. But when it comes to attitude, were you a good teammate? Were you cheering for your teammates when things got bad? Did you start blaming people and pointing fingers and yelling? Or did you say, hey, let's get together? Or when you did do those things, did you apologize and recompose yourself and get focused back in? Because everyone has, times where they blow up and they have bad attitude or they yell at their teammate or something like that. But did you apologize? How'd you react to that? Dude, I'm very guilty of that stuff, especially in my early years in high school. I was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
You were.
Yeah, I know. Refs used to come up to me and be like my senior year, they'd be like, man, you're so much more calm now. They're like, we were so scared of you when you were young. And I was like, yeah, sorry about that.
Loose cannon.
Loose cannon, man. Loose cannon. But so attitude, right? So those three things: preparation, effort, attitude. If you do all three of those things and statistically have a bad game, I don't think you had a bad game. I would say you had a good game.
Yeah.
You did everything right. And if you keep doing those things right consistently, you're going to have more overall good games where you're good in those three areas, but you're also doing well statistically. Like it's inevitable. It's just a matter of time. Right. And I think it's much more beneficial to focus on those other things rather than put the pressure on yourself to statistically do well. Because I've seen games where people drop 20 points, but they had a horrible game.
Horrible game.
Took horrible shots, made horrible decisions, cherry picked, stole rebounds from teammates to lay it up. Those are not good games. Even if you drop 20, that's not a good game. Right? There were games in high school. I was going to say a coach's name, but no, there were games in high school where we would be beating a team. One team just particularly got me because it was one of my teammates. I was playing against one of my AU teammates.
Okay.
So you might know who I'm talking about because there was only one in the Lansing area.
Okay.
And they literally we were up by 20, and I didn't play the fourth quarter, but they kept him in just so he could get buckets. And his nickname was Buckets. LaDante's never going to listen to this. But dude, they kept him in. We were up by maybe 25, 30, maybe. Because it was enough to where I didn't play in the fourth quarter.
Right.
And they believed that we were going to win. And he just stayed in and kept getting buckets. I was just like, those are garbage points.
Yeah.
Those are garbage points. And I remember after the game, one of the guys was like, yeah, you guys won and you did this and that statistically, but LaDante also had 30 points. So you didn't really shut him down. And I was like, I told the dude straight up, I was like, you're an idiot. I was like, he played the whole fourth quarter and scored 14 points in the fourth.
Right.
I will smack you. You should know better. I hate people who don't think the game.
Yeah.
But he's a good guy, good player, heck of a player, and pretty funny guy too.
Right.
So let's see where we're at. I guess we can talk about, that goes into the next episode, because next episode we're talking about the importance of being a good teammate and something. So yeah, let's just end it on that note. So when it comes to confidence, right, a big thing is to, focus on your role, doing your role to the best of your ability, prepare, give a good effort, right? Have good attitude. If you do all those things, I truly think that you've had good games.
Yeah.
Right? I would call it a good game. Right? So stop basing everything off statistics necessarily and base it off of you doing things the right way. Right? And if you want us to, elaborate on that or go into it a little bit more, you can always reach out to us on Gmail, at Gmail. I don't know how people say things. I don't know how to speak anymore. Blueprint.athletes@gmail.com, or you can always reach out to us on our Instagram. Talk to people all the time, like we always say. And we always say it because we don't want people to hesitate to reach out. We genuinely want to help, and we get to all the messages except for the super spammy ones, because I don't want to deal with that stuff.
Right.
But so don't make your message super spammy. All right. You hear me?
Yeah.
I'm looking at you. Don't make the message super spammy.
Get out of here.
I know. Well, this has been Blueprint Athletes Basketball Podcast. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.